Hello everyone, this is Mr. Unity and today we're going to be working on the top-down shooter. So today's objective is to make our player shoot. So currently our player can move using the WASD keys and he can point his gun at our cursor. So before adding the shooting though, I thought we should add like a few better assets to our game because currently our game looks so bad. So we're going to be taking our assets from kenny.nl, which is an amazing website which provides free assets. But we're going to create better assets later on. But for now, we're just going to use assets from kenny.nl. So I'll just search top-down shooter. And because Kenny has specific top-down shooter assets, so I was checking them out and I really liked this one. So here's a top-down shooter asset by Kenny. So just download it and it should come in a zip file which you can extract. So I'll just extract them into Unity and I'll be right back. So the way you want to extract them, just before doing that, is you want to open up your, you don't actually have to do this, you want to create a new folder, and this is how I like to do it. I like to put the asset name, so where the asset is from, because you might import more assets from Kenny. And I like to put the name of the pack, which is top-down shooter. So now I'm gonna go up and extract these in top-down shooter and I'll be right back. Okay everyone, so now that Kenny's assets have imported, I'll just go in and look at them. So PNG has all the assets, so I'll just open this up. And I've been looking at this robot character to be a player, but you can choose any of them. So you can choose this man old or the man blue or whatever. So after you've selected your player, just select all of the assets. And we are doing this because the settings on these assets aren't recommended for pixel players, and these are created out of pixels. So what you want to do is, in compression you want to choose none, and filter mode you want to choose point no filter and apply it. It's like that. So now our players are nicely done. So now I'm gonna I'll just call this player class because we're gonna create a player with a better format. So I'm gonna make a new empty game object and I'm gonna call it player. I'll reset its transform and you just wanna choose the first one and drag it in here, and then make its size 222. I'm gonna disable the player currently so we can see it. So this is a pretty good size for player sprite. So after that we're gonna do the gun holder later, but for now what you want to do is you just want to choose the same components that are here. So what I'm gonna do is a box collider here, so add in a box collider 2D. So there you go, there's your box collider, but just zoom it in and make it better. So I'll just zoom in and make it fit better. Oops, okay. Okay, so yeah, there you go. So now that we are done with the collider, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a rigid body 2D. I'm gonna remove the gravity scale, and in constraints I'm gonna freeze the rotation on the Z, and after that I'll just close this down for the moment being, and I'll go into scripts and drag the player movement script on here, and then I'm gonna play this. Wait, and as you guys can see, player is working. It's a bit fast currently, so I'll just change this to like 7. Seems like a good idea, like a good value. So yeah, we don't really need this player right now, but I'll just keep it for further reference. And then what I'm gonna do is I'll create a new folder here and I'll call it prefabs, and this will be for prefabs, and I'll just drag the player in here and make the player prefab. So now as you guys can see, our player is working properly and he can move. So yeah, so now here is the script we used. Okay, so yeah, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into the asset store. So I'm gonna do window and asset store, or you can just use Control 9, and that's the hotkey for opening the asset store. And yeah, what I'm just gonna do is I'll full screen this using Shift Space. This you can full screen anything using Shift Space, so you can full screen actually anything. It's like this. So now that the asset store has opened up, so I also want to create another asset for a bullet. So I have been looking through assets, and so I found this asset called the wait a minute, it's here. Okay, there you go everyone. Here is the asset. So you can search caves and remove the pricing, and it should be the first one. I've already installed this, so I don't need to install it again, but you should. And then just click on import and import this asset. So this is an amazing asset created by Asimov. Is that and I'm sorry because my pronunciations are really bad, so just import this. Okay everyone, so now that the assets have been imported, I'll just unfull screen it again. Just do Shift Space just to do that. Okay, but mine wasn't working for some reason. Okay, now it is. So I find there's this bullet in the warped caves asset pack, which looks really good. So go here, artwork, sprites, player, or wait, yeah, go to FX, shot, and so we're gonna use the same format. So make a new empty game object. I'll reset its transform, and for the time being I'll disable the player so we can look at our bullet, and I'll call this the bullet, and I'll drag the shot 2. The shot 2 looks better to me, and again you can just look at it by doing this, but it's pretty small. So just look at it, and this has already been like arranged, like the settings already given in the recommended format, so you don't have to do anything. So I'll just drag this in, and it's pretty small, so I'll increase it to like 5, 5, and 5 so we can see it properly. And then so as you can see, it looks pretty good. So then what I'm gonna do is I'll close this down, and I'll add a box collider 2D. I'll even close this down, and again this is not sized properly, so I'll just do that. So I'll just size the rigid body so it actually fits the bullet sprite. So there you go. And then what I'll do is go into rigid body 2D, and I'll add a rigid body 2D, and I'll change the gravity scale again to 0. After that I will drag the bullet into the prefab folder and remove it from a scene view. I'll reopen the player prefab, and what I'll do is I'll create a new empty game object, and I'll call this the fire point. So the fire point is the point where our bullet should come out of. So I'll just do it like here, and you can see somewhere here. So I'll have this at 0.5 and minus 0.2, so that's pretty good. And then I'll apply this. I'll override apply all. Okay, so now we can finally work on our shooting. So I'm gonna go in here, and I'll add in a script, and I'll call it weapon, and I'll double click to open it up in Visual Studio Code. And yeah, so I'll just do that. So let's start writing the script. Okay everyone, so let's start. So I'm going to start by removing the start and the update function. After that I'm going to create 2 headers. So first one will be variables, and the second one I'll call is drag and drops. Okay, so in the first header I'll create a serialize field oops, float, and I'll call that the bullet speed. So this will be how fast our bullet travels, and I'll default it to 10. Okay, and then so now I'm gonna make a serialize field. I'll create a serialize field transform, and that'll be for 5 points so we can access it. So after that, I'll even create another serialize field game object, and and this will be for the bullet. So this will be a bullet prefab. Okay, so after that, I'm gonna create in the void update. So in the update, I'll make an if function saying if input dot get mouse button down, which is get mouse button down 0 means the left mouse button, and then if we do that, I want to shoot, and then I'm gonna go up here and using quick actions and refactoring, I'm gonna just generate a method of shoot just by doing this. There you go. Then what I'm going to do is I'll create a game object, and this will be a bullet instance, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to instantiate it, and I'm going to instantiate the bullet prefab. So as you guys can see, so you want to instantiate the game object right over here, and I'm going to instantiate it at what position. So I'll instantiate it at the fire point dot position, and also the fire point dot rotation, and that's it. So I'll just close the brackets. So now we have instantiated bullet prefab. So now we can go and play this, but so I'll just show you what happens. So let's just go and play here. Okay, so it's gonna load, and then we can drag in the weapon script onto the player. So after that, so what I'll do is I'll go into the fire point, and of course I'll drag the fire point, and under prefabs I'll drag in the bullet right over here, and then I'm gonna go into overrides and I'll apply it all. Okay, so now I'll just play here. So as you guys can see now, we can actually play and actually shoot, but bullets don't really go anywhere. They just kind of stay there, and I still think the speed is a bit too much, so I'll crank it down to 5. So now what I want to do to a bullet is I want to add a force at the start. At the very start, when the bullet is spawned, I want to add a force, making it move forward. So to do that, I'm going to have to create a rigid body 2D RB, and we'll have to get the rigid body component on the bullet. So I'll do bullet dot get component and rigid body, and that's the whole reason why we put a rigid body on the bullet, so we can add a force to it. And after that, we're gonna add the force, of course. So RB dot add force, and again the force will be from fire point dot up, which will be straight. So fire point dot, and by up, like, so fire point dot right instead of up, and then I'll multiply it by the bullet speed, and I'll use force mode 2D dot impulse, which will be, as the description shows, it'll be a really fast force applied to the bullet. It'll be a sudden impulse. So now if I go in here, and it'll take it just compiling. So after it compiles, I'll full screen it, and if I play this again, so right now it's not working because we'll have to go into the bullet prefab. Okay everyone, so it's not working because we have to go here, and I use bullet, but we have to actually use the bullet instance right here. So now it should work. So right over here, if I click on play, as you guys can see, it works. Bullet works, it can shoot. But now again, as you guys can see, Bullet is actually shooting many clones, and it's not a good habit to keep the clones in the game, because the game might get heavy by the amount of clones. So we have to destroy them after a couple of seconds. So to do that, I'll create a new C# script and call it bullet. Okay everyone, so I'm gonna double click on the bullet script and open it up, and I'll delete the start and the update, and over here I'll create an on collision enter 2D method, and over here I'll just do destroy game object, and then later we'll add logic. So if it's the enemy, lessen its health, and if his health is nothing, destroy him. But for now, as we have no enemies, let's just keep it here. And then I'll even create a private void update, and in that I will make a destroy game object in 5 seconds. So if our object hits, and if it hits nothing, so if it doesn't hit any enemy, it'll automatically get destroyed in 5 seconds. Okay everyone, so now I'm gonna go in and of course add in bullet script, and now we're gonna encounter a problem most probably. So now if we hit a player, as you guys can see, the player gets destroyed, because as you guys can see, the player is a object. So, and in our script we've said on collision enter 2D. So what I'm just gonna do is I'll just say if other dot game object dot tag is equal to the player, just return. So now what I'm gonna do is of course go on to the player, and I'll add the player tag onto the player, and it's an already made tag by Unity, so you don't have to create it. It's like this. And now as you guys can see, we can shoot properly and everything works, and the bullet clones also get destroyed in 5 seconds. So go up here and apply everything on the player. So now our shooting mechanic works. So before leaving the tutorial, I think we should make our background look a lot better, because currently it still looks really bad. So what I'm gonna do is go in here and I'll create a 2D tile map, and I'll just call it, it'll be created in a grid, and I'll call this ground. Okay, so now that we've created the ground game object, what I'm gonna do is I'll zoom out here, and what you want to do now is so what we can do in here is we can go into Kenny PNG, and we can actually make a tile set, so we can actually print so under PNG, so right over here on the tiles, we can actually print these tiles on our game scene, making it look better. So I'll just show you. So what you have to do is go to window, 2D, and tile palette. So now I'm just gonna dock it. I'll dock it in the game scene because that's not really needed currently. Then I'll create a new tile palette, and I'll call this ground. And what I'll do is I'll keep it rectangle, and I'll call it automatic, and I'll create it. After creating it, what I'll do is I'll create a new folder here called tiles. Okay, and I'll just do that. So go in right over here, and I have to drag some sprites, so I'll just drag about sprites till here. So these are all the sprites we can use, and I'll just drag them in here. Now save this in the tiles. Okay, so there you go. So all your tiles are created. So now you can actually go in here and actually print this, but there'll be a problem with this, and as you guys can see, the tiles are too small. So to fix this, what you want to do is just print one here and go into the grid, and we'll have to manually change the grid size. So I'll just what we'll have to do is in the grid size, I'll just make this smaller. So I'll go in and make this 0.64, and the same with the Y, 0.64. So now our grids can work properly. So now I'm going to create the rectangular tool. So if you do this here, this tool can draw properly. With this you can actually select and then copy, like you can actually select many tiles at the same time like this. With this you can actually move them, and then you can if I create many of them, I'll just select this and I'll create many, and then you can actually go into the select tool and select all of them and then actually move them. So this tool is pretty useful if you want to make precise tiles. And then there's the rectangular tool where you can print many things. So I'll just select this and you can actually print many things. Then there's the marquee tool. So if you put something here, if you want to choose this one, just click on the marquee and it will choose here, or you can actually click here and I'll choose this one. Then there's the eraser tool, which can erase your tiles, the drawn tiles. So yeah, so you can even so you can't erase them like choosing nothingness. And then finally we have the flood tool, fill tool, which will just actually fill a selected area. So you can actually fill a lot of, you can actually fill this. So for now we don't have to actually do all of this. We can just have a normal so we can just have a normal view by the rectangular tool. And now we can actually close. So for now we'll just keep the tile palette here, and then we can actually play this. So yeah, as you guys can see, now we can move and the background looks pretty good. So yeah, that's it for this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.